Hi, this is Josh Hackbarth of Warner Brothers Discovery.
And Shanon Kelley of NFTs. And we're creating Game of Thrones, Build Your Realm, an immersive project created to build upon the franchise that everyone loves.
We're here on the Edge of NFT, the immersive podcast through which the best projects in the iconic world of NFTs are brought to you. Keep listening.
Hey there, NFT curious listeners. Stay tuned for today's episode to learn that winter is coming, how the upcoming Game of Thrones NFT drop is bringing big value for diehard fans. Plus, why one of today's guests may be the Smothers Brothers' biggest OG fan, and how today's episode takes you one step closer to owning your own planet. All this and more on today's episode. And don't forget, we put together a gathering called NFTLA just a few months back that brought out thousands of the world's most innovative doers in the NFT space. Head to nftla.live to get tickets to our newer, bolder, better, but also just as intimate and impactful event happening in Los Angeles, March 20th to the 23rd, 2023. We'll see you there.
Welcome to the Edge of NFT podcast with your hosts, Jeff Kelley, Ethan Janney, and Josh Krieger. We aim to bring you not only the top 1% of what's going on with NFTs today, but what will stand the test of time. We explore the nuts and bolts and the business side, but also the human element of how NFTs are changing the way we interact with the things that we love. This podcast is for the futurists and dreamers, the disruptors and creators, the fans and connectors, and the makers and doers that are pumped about this ecosystem and driving where it goes next.
Welcome to the Edge of NFT with your hosts, Jeff Kelley, Ethan Janney, and Josh Krieger, the podcast that brings you the top 1% of NFTs today and what will stand the test of time. We explore the nuts and bolts of the business side and also the human element of how NFTs are changing the way we interact with the things we love. This podcast is for the dreamers, disruptors, and doers who are pumped about this ecosystem and driving where it goes next. Today's episode features two special guests. Josh Hackbarth, head of NFT commercial development at Warner Brothers Discovery, and Shanon Kelley, chief commercial officer at NFTs. Let's hear a little bit about each of them. Josh is responsible for overseeing the development and operation of all aspects of Warner Brothers NFT business, from pitches and potential partnerships to campaign activations, to driving new initiatives in partnership with Warner Brothers Consumer Products, DC, Home Entertainment, Warner Brothers Animation, Warner Brothers Television, and Warner Brothers Pictures. In addition to heading up the studio NFT efforts, Josh led the company's first NFT efforts with Space Jam, A New Legacy, DC Fandom, and The Matrix Resurrections, with initial drops of each being met with overwhelming demand, highlighting the success that NFTs bring. Josh has built his experience across entertainment, retail, and technology with leadership positions at DreamWorks Animation, Amazon, GE, and 3M. Let's hear a little bit about Shanon. Shanon, NFTs' first hire, leads business development and the distinctive white glove service that guides creators through the optimization of their efforts. NFTs is a platform that makes it easy for brands and creators to launch and manage NFT-powered communities, keeping their fans engaged while driving their business interests across their ecosystems. As a trailblazer with over 15 years of experience, Shanon has curated a career heavily focused on diversity and inclusion, creating opportunities for women in technology to thrive and be seen. As advertising director of Vice, the world's leading youth media brand, she led partnerships and also created and launched Vice's Women's Interest Channel broadly, one of the first platforms dedicated to covering diverse stories of gender and race. Shanon, Josh, welcome to Edge of NFT. It's great to have you here.
Hey, everybody. Nice to be here. Thanks for having us.
Pleasure.
Yeah, stoked to be here. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, and I guess right on the eve of a big Game of Thrones conference in the same place where we all got together for NFTLA, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah, that's where I think we all first met back last March or April.
And Game of Thrones, could you guys clarify, what does that mean? No, I'm just kidding.
We might get into it a little bit.
But Yeah, we're actually for those of you that aren't named Josh and I see each other almost daily in Josh DAO. A lot of GMs going back and forth, and we just recently both found out there's 3 other Josh DAOs, so there may be a merger forthcoming, and hopefully all the Joshes come together at the next NFTLA. But alas, let's talk about Warner Brothers, because you guys are just, you know, continuing to be longstanding titans in the entertainment space. Like I just learned, founded over 100 years ago. That's incredible. And
That's right.
you know, it's such a bold and exciting journey that you guys have segued into the world of Web3 and NFTs. And we just would love to sort of understand, you know, over the course of the journey so far, what does this innovation process look like for you guys from the inside?
Yeah, 100 years for sure. So we're celebrating our 100th year anniversary all throughout 2023, which is super exciting. You know, we'll be digging into Game of Thrones today, which is of course part of HBO, which just celebrated its 50th year. So we've been around for a bit, and yeah, it's the thing that keeps me going is that innovation engine keeps firing, and it's been great. So, you know, when we started to look at the Web3 space, I mean, it wasn't even really being called Web3. You know, it was more just kind of watching what was happening in the market with NFTs and where fans were flocking. We started to look at it at just kind of another way to delight our fans and tell new stories. We didn't really know what we were how we were going to approach it. And I think every month the tech offers more and more that we can play with. But you know, we approached it both traditionally and untraditionally, if that makes sense, meaning that it's an avenue where we were seeing fans go down and we wanted to delight them there. But untraditionally is, you know, it offers up, you know, things that we hadn't really had to deal with before, like decentralized ownership and you know, the ability to bring the fan into a storytelling process in a completely new way. And so it's, you know, it's allowed us to kind of flip things upside down internally as well.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, and it's just been impressive, to say the least, how you guys have sort of extended your brand to this new realm and created so much interesting content and sort of weave together these different stories, you know, in a different way.
Yeah. And it's, you know, it's also important to recognize the kind of trailblazing aspect. And I think I'm sure Warner Brothers as an organization, but also you, Josh, of just sort of being willing to try new things and get into a new territory. There's a lot to be said for that kind of trailblazing, right? And willingness to take a bit of risk and try something new. You guys launched digital collectibles, though successfully, like DC characters, Looney Tunes, Matrix avatars, as I mentioned, DC comic books, Game of Thrones. What do you think is the source of that inspiration to keep pushing onwards and bringing these franchises into the new territory of Web3?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely been focusing on our biggest and most iconic franchises that have the big fan bases, because we know there's appetite there to try new things. And you know, for you know, something like Looney Tunes or Space Jam, like I remember Shanon and I riffing on that. My gosh, what was it? Almost 2 years ago now, a year and a half ago. And we've tried a lot of different approaches. You know, we were approaching it as kind of an extension of a theatrical marketing campaign, and then it evolved into more just kind of a digital collectibles, kind of collect them all. And then, you know, as we'll get into with Game of Thrones, I don't even know how you would define what we're going to be doing. It's just very, very different. We could just keep pushing it. So, you know, I think it's just, you know, we're following the fan feedback, you know, obsessively. You know, we're in the Discords, you know, we're on Twitter. We're really seeing what's resonating, not just with our programs, but just around the industry, and see how we can come push the envelope in the space.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, we were just at Art Basel, you know, speaking with folks doing auctions at Christie's, you know, with Pace Gallery as well. And it's so the thing I want to highlight here from what you said is you don't even know what you're doing, right? Or you don't even know how to explain it. And
That's
I think
accurate.
that, right. I mean, and that's great. And I think that's why me, Jeff, and Josh are really excited about the space. So the folks that I was talking to from Pace, the projects that they've been working with, they had been doing these things back before NFTs became a part of the mainstream. And they were doing things that were groundbreaking, like, you know, NFTs that can change over time or based on like what's going on in the wallet of the holder of the NFTs. And I think this is something that is really going over a lot of people's head when they just kind of think about the sort of hyped aspect of, you know, oh, am I supposed to get this NFT? It's going to go up in value, stuff like that. It's like, what's really exciting to the folks that are keeping to be in the space is there's so much potential to explore here. And I really love that that's what you're bringing to the table, right? It's great if we don't know exactly what we're doing. That's what's meant to be.
Yeah, I would be embarrassed to say if I did know what we were doing, because I think the tech is going so fast. Now, that said, we have a general idea.
No, listen, you have no idea what you're doing. That's going on the,
but
when we
I think
release the
that's on his
podcast, it'll
LinkedIn,
say that.
actually.
On
yeah,
the,
exactly.
That's his LinkedIn bio, Josh Hackbarth. No idea what I'm doing.
No idea what I'm doing.
There's some kind of great meme in there.
Yeah, exactly. So I think what we're all kind of circling around is the exciting part about this space is we are all in it together. Like we're all building on each other, and it's very different than our traditional businesses where it's like, you know, it's much more almost of a competitive nature. I think this is more of a community nature, even amongst our competitors, right? Like trying to elevate the technology and seeing where it's going to go. And that's where, you know, we partner with NFTs as an example, because fortunately they do know what they're doing in the space. And
good
so
one,
it's been good collab. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, this is it. This is the thing we're here to discuss, right? So you got this like, killer collaboration, right, between Warner Brothers Discovery and NFTs through the Game of Thrones Build Your Realm. How the heck did this epic project come together?
I think that's just me annoying Josh for months and months and months, probably. Every day be like, Game of Thrones, what do you think? No, I mean, we've had an amazing partnership so far. You know, you guys mentioned off the bat Space Jam and The Matrix, and those were our first two projects that we did, where our launch project was actually Space Jam: A New Legacy with Warner Brothers. We expanded that to The Matrix, Looney Tunes, and now Game of Thrones. It just seemed like the next logical step. You know, if we're thinking about what are the big iconic franchises and who have mass global audience, it doesn't really get much bigger than Game of Thrones. What is it, like 8 in 10 people globally recognize, you know, the Game of Thrones franchise or something ridiculous like that. It's just a world renowned, and fans are crazy for it. So it made a lot of sense to move into this. Now, I can't really remember how the whole what we've actually created came together, because I mean, it's been a process. And I think going back to that point about taking more traditional media and doing it in Web3, that's part of it. You know, I think traditional consumer products, you have like 2-year lead times, Josh, where you know, you have what you have baked, ready to go, and then it's 1.5 years before you get it, but you have to be done. Whereas with NFTs and big programs on the blockchain, we can be a little bit more fluid and flexible and decide, you know, hey, based on all that feedback that we get directly from the audience, like, this might not work this time, or we should add on this, or we should change this. And the technology is so moving so quickly as well that we're able to create sort of new activities and ways for people to engage. So it was an evolving process for sure. That was my long-winded way of saying that.
And then on the Warner Brothers side, I mean, Game of Thrones was on our list from the very beginning on how, because we knew we have this really active fan base, and we had an amazing new series coming out this past summer, House of the Dragon, and but we didn't want to do yet another PFP project or yet another NFT program, and so we were very selective in how we wanted to bring this to market. And to Shannon's point, she was very persistent on that. But really, when you'll see as we start to talk about it a little bit is, you know, it's a really special approach that we wanted to take with this one. And it was like a giant, you know, 6-month game of yes and. Is, you know, NFTs would bring up an idea and we'd be like, great, and let's do that, and let's do that. And every time one of us yes anded, the other person just like had a stress, very stressful moment, because they knew it was the right thing to do, but it's a lot of work. And
that's that reminds me of like one of my first improv classes. That was an exercise I had to do for a whole week, is say yes to everyone no matter what they asked me, and the only thing you could say is, and it's like, yes, I'll do that in 5 years. But yeah, very, very nuanced process there. But at the end of the day, you guys have really pushed the boundaries here creatively, from a imagination perspective. Would love to dive into some of the details, and learn a little bit more about this drop and what you guys are doing. And by the way, one quick aside is, with the latest series, my only critique is where it ended. I wanted to be able to listen to the next episode or check it out desperately, and I don't know how long I have to wait, but it's going to be too long.
Yeah, binge viewing is both the best and worst thing that has happened to our generations. I think you just want that instant fix for sure. Maybe I'll just comment a little bit on the Warner Brothers side or HBO side. We wanted to stay very true to the series on this, and so what you're not going to see in this is new stories that weren't told on screen, but what you are going to see is some different ways to experience those stories. And I think, watching this over the summer, kind of rewatching the original series, I think there is 73 episodes or something like that, and so many of them just stick out in your head, and many of them people haven't watched in 6-7 years, and you go back and watch them and like, oh wow, I remember this was a really great show. There is a really great show, and so bringing that back to life, I think, is going to be really fun.
Yeah, I also hear there's there's a collab with the Josh Dow Game of Joshes thing that's going on as well.
There can be only one Josh Dow, not just one Josh, just one Josh Dow.
It gets Game of Josh Dows, and it's like one Josh Dow against the other Josh Dow.
There's a Highlander reference in there.
Yeah, really exciting.
Yeah, I was gonna say that'll be a fun NFT collection, Highlander.
You guys, massively successful series here with Game of Thrones. And so many diehard fans who know every intricate detail of Westeros. What can the Game of Thrones enthusiasts look forward to in this experience? Can you walk us through a little bit more of the details there?
Yeah. Shanon, you want to walk through?
I'll take that one.
Yeah.
We've stuck so close to the canon. I think everybody's going to be so excited. Just to take a kind of bird's eye view of it, this will be a multi-year program. So I think the first step that we're kind of taking away from traditional NFT programs, that's kind of one and done, and then you build the community from there, right? Like, that's not the approach we're taking. We're going to be having releases like every other month, starting with what we're calling like a hero box that includes multiple NFTs on different blockchains. So that's another sort of nerdy thing that we're doing, which I don't know if anyone has done before. So the box will include not just an avatar, but trading cards as well, and different kinds of cards. And some of those are resource cards that you can use to upgrade your avatar. Some of those will be story cards, which we are directly from the show. And then those cards in and of themselves will have their own moments later in the year, where even if you're just like a casual fan and you're like, well, I think I'd rather just like collect cards from the show and from pictures from the show or photos from the show, you can do that, and you don't have to get into the avatar itself. So that's kind of the very bird's eye view. And over those 2 years, there will be themes. So the first one that we've announced that we'll be launching is the North. So you can obviously imagine, for right off the bat that it's Starks, right? So that's sort of the first one that we're getting into, but you can also think about who else is in the North? There's the Wall, what's over the Wall? Like, there's a lot of things that you can get excited for there. But everything that we've done for the avatars themselves is so insanely detailed. Even down to like the clothing and hairstyles and chains and what color people wear, and things that you wouldn't see on one group that is only going to be on another one, and so we stuck very close to the storyline. And I think fans will be really excited because they'll get to nerd out with everything on that. And I think the other amazing thing that we're doing is, we're allowing you to also upgrade and change your avatar, which I'm not sure, how many. I know that a few projects do that with serums or with other things, but in this sense, we're allowing people to really customize their avatar by earning rewards and by collecting these cards. So we'll be able to upgrade weapons and outfits and backgrounds and companions. So imagine direwolves as an example. Just really fun things that will get people completely immersed in the show if they're not already.
Yeah, and so like so many different elements, right? So folks can go in and build and do some really exciting things there. First question, actually, with NFTs, like what blockchain is it built on? Like, what's the framework here that enables so much goodness and customization and fun?
So we originally built with Palm. That was our launch partner, and they're wonderful. And we've done several projects with them. Josh as well of DC is on Palm. And now, once the merge happened in September, was that? If I can't remember time anymore, we integrated Ethereum. So we're able to do multi-chain projects. We're going to be adding on as well. So all your sort of more typical layer 2s will be in there. And what it does, it allows us to have these much bigger multi-chain projects in the sense of so we have a premium NFT that can be an avatar, that can be something else, and those are traditionally on Ethereum. And then we have engagement NFTs or activity NFTs on a layer 2, in this case Palm. So that allows us to really gamify the experience for the fans and do activities every day, even without needing to pay like a $10 gas fee every day. So we do those engagement NFTs on the layer 2. So it's pretty fun.
So yeah, it opens your hand to so many cool things when you don't have to worry about the gas element that we had to deal with for so long, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Shanon, you and I have had some conversations in the past about the importance of diversity and inclusivity in the space, and I know it's something that you're really passionate about. And I just was curious how you have folded these principles into this project, which has such a cultural component, and what that's looked like in terms of sort of some of the decisions you've made along the way.
Absolutely. I mean, it's hard. Game of Thrones is its own world, right? And we want to stay true to that, but we also want to make sure that there's something for everybody. So that can mean multiple things. I think it makes sure that there's female avatars in there or other representations of people that you can say, oh, that one reminds me of myself. That's, obviously one that we can do easily, and we have. The other thing, I think, in working with brands that already have such a huge fan base, it's making sure that that's accessible to them so that it's not this, complicated thing that they need to figure out or that it's too expensive or things like that. So that's why we've added multiple ways that people can engage in this program. Like I mentioned before, those, if you just you're a fan, you don't necessarily, want to get into the avatar aspect of it, you can buy a pack of your favorite moments from the show, and that'll be very affordable and accessible for everybody. And then just on, basic things like, allowing for credit card purchases and things like that, which have become so common nowadays. Yes, but there's a reason for that, right? Because, we want more mass adoption and more accessibility. And a lot of people don't have a MetaMask or don't know how to connect to their MetaMask or don't know how to, transfer any crypto they have to another type of crypto. So doing things that make it more accessible for the average fan and making it fun, I would say, is the main priority here.
Yeah, you make a great point about how inclusion can be accessed through accessibility, right? Just making sure that people are aware of something, can get involved, and then just by the nature of them getting involved, their community or their sort of avatar, to use avatar in another term, their kind of client avatar, user avatar, can start to make a home in that space. That's really cool. So what does your roadmap look like going forward with this stuff? And we talked about a little bit, and we talked about how there's multiple years involved. Are there any partnerships, artist collaborations, or other features we might be interested to find out about, or is that, still under wraps?
100% still under wraps, but but 100%. I mean, that I think is what I'm so excited about for this program too, because like I said, so many programs are sort of one and done. You release your 10,000 or your whatever the main focus is, and then that's it. And for us, because we have multi-year, we have all these opportunities to expand, to experiment, to change things, or to bring in partners or other collaborators. So, other than the roadmap that we've already revealed, which is the multi-year, hitting all of the regions of Game of Thrones and that sort of basics of it, we're still working all the rest of that out, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, and I think our goal for this, and Shanon touched on this a little bit with inclusivity, is with all of our projects, is how do we bring more people into the space?
Mm-hmm.
I think we've learned a lot about the projects we've launched, and we want to super serve the people that are already in the NFT community. And so all the expected, kind of points will be there. But then how do we make it as easy as possible to bring other people in so that we, they can also be part of this longer roadmap? I think the other thing I'll say is what I'm most excited about, honestly, in this program, and for both NFT natives and for new people coming in, is, I think we've all bought avatars or PFPs, and you're like, oh, if only I got one with laser eyes or whatever it is. And this is an avatar program where if you don't get the one you want, you can actually get trading cards to upgrade to the one
Mm-hmm.
that you want it to be. And
Mm-hmm.
I've not seen that before, but I think it's going to be really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great step forward, and it's fun, right? It's at the foundational level, like everything we're talking about, it's got to be rooted in like fun and passion and interest, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
all those features make it that much more appealing to any individual, right?
Yeah.
And as you look around, I mean, obviously, there's so many different components to this. What are you seeing in the space that has inspired the project, inspired other ideas? Like, what's getting you jazzed right now?
Oh man. Oh, and by the way, just as a callback, laser eyes was not alpha. There's no laser eyes. So that was just a generic example. Yeah, I mean, from our side, like, it's just, it's always fun to see more mainstream players take bigger steps in. Whether it's of course watching what Nike's doing and working with those guys and just seeing other things that are happening that are bringing the masses in is exciting. But then also, like, just really digging into the discords of some of these projects that, we're personally parts of, and just understanding what's working and what's not.
Yeah.
Shanon, how about you?
I would say the same. I mean, aside from a few specific projects, I also just like to see the evolution and more mainstream. I'm excited for the next phase of NFTs and where this is going, because I definitely believe, with the bear market we're in that right now, it's going to be an evolving
But
industry.
we always end up beating the White Walkers at the end of the day.
That's we'll see, maybe. I don't know. I get really excited for newcomers in the space too, and people who are really taking that kind of decentralization like just to the next level, whether it's to open a venue or to have some kind of new form of DAO or something that's like a real world application. I think is really exciting. So I'm just excited to see what people come up with next and what we come up with next. So
lots of building happening, and with every kind of crypto cycle, the percentage of people that continue to build that are really in for the long haul is so much higher at each iteration, at each step. And it's just it's cool. It's inspiring, certainly, for us to see that and be part of that. So well, cool. Awesome. I think that is a wrap on segment 1.
You have questions about blockchain? Like, how big of a block can you chain without throwing out your bag? Or if you receive that chain letter, how did you block it? And does blockchain taste better barbecued or deep fried? Luckily, you don't have to ponder these quandaries alone anymore, because Blockchain Training Alliance is here to answer them and also train you in real-world blockchain issues that will impact your business's bottom line and orient it future forward along the ley lines of the most important tech humanity has perfected since harnessing atomic energy. If you're into those sorts of things, Blockchain Training Alliance is a top leader in the field, counting among its clients IBM, Microsoft, Disney, Morgan Stanley, and many more, and offering a wide array of technical and non-technical courses. Whether you're a computer neophyte training for an incredible career in this new space, or a coding expert honing your skills, Blockchain Trading Alliance will help you steer your ship home safely, filled with treasure. Arg. So hurry and sign up for the Blockchain Trading Alliance course that best fits your needs at blockchaintradingalliance.com. Use discount code EDGEOF for 50% off and start your next block today.
And I think we're going to move into our segment 2, which is called Edge Quick Hitters.
Yeah.
Little fun segment, little way for us to get to know you guys a little bit better. And I'm going to hand it off to Ethan and Josh to lead that, as I will have to break out here. But I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you guys and learn so much about the project you're working on, and really get excited about what's to come.
Great.
Cool.
Thanks, Jeff.
Jeff.
We'll catch you on the flip side. All right, let's talk about Edge Quick Hitters. So these are a fun and quick way to get to know you a little bit better. 10 questions. We're looking for just a short or few word response, but we can feel free to expand if you get the urge. Are you ready?
Think so. Ready.
Good. We need consent.
Josh has been listening to the show for a long time.
I have.
I'm
He's
sure
got it
he's been thinking
planned
about
out
these
his
answers.
answers. All right. So we'll kick it over to Josh first to answer the first question first. What is the first thing you remember ever purchasing in your life?
Super Mario Brothers 3 on Nintendo. I shoveled driveways for a good 3 months for that thing.
Nice. Like, yeah.
So for Super Mario Brothers 1 and 2, those were just gifts that you got. You had to actually buy
I didn't
the
even
third
get
one.
I didn't even get number 2. We jumped right into number 3. So I just remember it had the raccoon tail. That's all I remember. So
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It is always useful to kind of remember, like, what did you do to make that happen, right? And make
Yeah.
when you're a kid, there's more of these direct correlations, right? I delivered
Yeah.
newspapers so that I could do this, like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, all right. How about you, Shannon? What is the first thing you remember ever purchasing in your life?
The first thing I remember purchasing on my own was, I think, Mariah Carey's debut album, self-titled Mariah Carey.
Very nice.
Yeah, I did. Same thing. I remember doing a bunch of chores and being so excited. I was like, all right, I can buy my own CD for the first.
Are you still a loyal Mariah Carey fan?
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Nice. Definitely reminds me of my early Paula Abdul album purchases as well.
Oh man, check there. Opposites attract.
Yes, totally. All right. Question number 2. I'll kick it back to you, Shannon. What is the first thing you remember selling in your life?
Really, I don't remember that. Maybe it was something on eBay. Figuring that out for the first time, how to use that, and selling an old band shirt. I think that was the first one, or it was old Warriors gear that I had.
All right.
I think that was that.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's funny to see eBay nowadays. It's so different. Like, it used to be this sort of exciting kind of global garage sale. Now it's just kind of like, it's kind of just like a different Amazon, really. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, same question. What's the first thing you ever remember selling in your life?
Super Mario Brothers 3. That's what I sold it 3 months later. Yeah.
Nice.
Man, flipped it for a new game.
Right. First flip. Yeah, it was for a new game. I don't remember what the second game was though, but I definitely flipped it. Yeah.
Man,
it's a hot commodity.
Clearly, they could have taken a lesson out of your book in terms of creating an experience that lasts longer, that wouldn't get you bored so quickly.
And I was hoping you would use the funds from that to start your own driveway shoveling business, employing others and scaling up to buy multiple millions of video game cartridges.
Yeah.
Okay, Josh, from one Josh to another, what is the most recent thing you purchased?
I mean, probably lunch, I guess. Sushi from Whole Foods, if you're interested.
Yum.
So there you go.
All right.
It
Yeah,
seems to be
it's pretty good sushi. I like Air One sushi a little better myself, but it's not bad. Shannon, what about you?
Definitely a Christmas present I just bought online. I don't know when this is airing, so I'm not going to give it up just in case he's listening, right? When it airs before Christmas.
Can you say what website you bought it from?
Nike.com.
All right. It's probably
sounds like a little
cool
bit
then.
too much of a clue.
No, I have to get on top of my holiday shopping. That's a friendly reminder.
Yeah.
So back to you, Shannon. What's the most recent thing you sold?
Again, clothing. It's the cycle. It's an endless cycle of buying clothes and selling them. But I did just sell a bunch of clothes at Wasteland. So I'm all about that.
I mean, that's probably more responsible than an endless cycle of expanding your closet.
That's true. Yeah.
And Josh, what about you?
I think we sold some toys. On like Facebook Marketplace. I think
that's
where
a
we
good
did.
one.
Yeah.
You know,
Facebook Marketplace. Yeah,
that's local commerce at its best.
It's like the new Craigslist. It's
I tell you, like things fly there. I've sold a lot of things on Facebook Marketplace, and they go quickly. You know.
Yeah, toys very appropriate for the holiday season, right? You got to make way for the new toys, right? That's what I'm guessing. All right, next question. Question number 5. Let's hit you, Josh, again. What is your most prized possession?
I have a signed. You won't know where I'm going with this. I have a signed vinyl of the Smothers Brothers' first concert at the Purple Onion.
God.
And that I got when I was about 17 years old, because I waited outside their performance until they would sign it for me. I think I was the youngest fan there, and that was 30 years ago.
Sure. Now that's certainly a surprise that you have that. And I was a fan of the Smothers, but I had they were all about yo-yos.
Oh yeah, Yo-Yo Man. That's right.
Oh my God.
But why is that your most prized possession? Sounds very
it's
niche.
More the experience, trying to get it.
Okay.
Meeting them, it was the whole thing. So,
that's cool. Smothers Brothers' biggest fan.
That's right.
Shanon, what about you? What's your most prized possession?
I think it's a custom vase that I got for my birthday last year, which has all of my pets' faces on it. It's pretty cute, and it's very thoughtful, and it's meaningful. So.
Okay, so now you walked away just a minute before we started the show. Did you hear my recommendation? Did we communicate that to you?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's perfect. That was good. Right. So Van Woof is this service which will make a portrait out of your dog's face and put it on a Game of Thrones character's body or something. Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, back to you, Shanon. If you could buy anything in the world, digital, physical, service, experience that's currently for sale, what would it be?
Oh my God, I didn't prepare for this question. I don't know. I want Josh to go first so I can one-up him.
I didn't prepare for this. I'll give you a lowball answer. Answer. Some type of vacation, probably.
I was going to say travel.
Yeah, some type of travel. It's been too long.
Cool. Yeah.
Say that.
I think
where are we going? Where are we going?
Antarctica or something crazy.
I could find
ultimate,
I think we're going to Australia. I think that's on the list, at some point. Cool. So, but that's
I still
long
haven't
flight.
been there. Yeah, I mean, you may as well go to New Zealand while you're over there, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Maybe there's like a Smothers Brothers themed cruise or something.
I'd be I'm not, you know what? I won't even go there. Probably not a lot of people on that cruise, I guess. Yeah. But I would be there for sure.
You'd be there. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they do get harder before they get easier. So, Josh, if you could pass on one of your personality traits to the next generation, what would it be?
Oh boy. Well, I'm seeing it in my everyday life with my kids. I probably sense of humor. I like to say I have one, so hopefully that's come through. But my kids are picking that up. A little bit drier than I'd like, but it is.
There you go.
This podcast is actually an intervention about sense of humor.
Yeah,
that's right.
Have them go to
it was curated by the Smothers Brothers. So what are you gonna say?
Indeed.
They're gonna listen to this and they're like, I don't know if this was funny, Dad.
Oh no. Yeah.
Oh, they definitely think it's embarrassing. Yeah.
Shanon, what about you?
I don't know if it's necessarily a personality trait, but just in general, I think the personability and pass on to the next generation, especially as kids are so much on their devices and really not interacting with one another, and AI and all those things popping up. But I think just, the personability. Is that a word?
Yeah, that's a word. Just a drive towards real, authentic human connection, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The ability to be a person.
The ability to be a person.
I mean, I do feel like that's going to be an important personality trait to pass on when it's a lot easier to not be a person.
Yes, you got the AI and everything.
Yeah, Lenza, man, taking over Apple Store.
Oh man, did you guys all do that? By the way, let's take a little side break.
I wasn't impressed with my my AI renderings, but a lot lot of people had some cool ones. I was
once there was some payment, it was like a paywall involved, and I was like, I'm not.
Oh yeah, it's $8. They are making a killing.
No.
Anyways, Shanon, if you could eliminate one of your personality traits from the next generation, what would it be?
Oh God, I feel like this is therapy session. I don't know, my anxiety maybe?
Were you anxious about answering that question?
Yes.
Yeah. Shanon, I have a list for you if you want. Since it's
you can save that for our retro after we release Game of Thrones. Just
you bring in a business partner or a significant other, and they will be all about answering that question.
Yeah,
so a lot easier for them. Josh, Shanon, what personality traits should Josh eliminate? No, I'm just kidding.
I'll tell it for her. I think if my kids could procrastinate a little less than I do, that would be good. But the best work gets done in the last 24 hours. So
that's how it is.
Yeah, Parkinson's law.
No comment.
That's
on
right.
That one. That's why Josh is not shocked when I text him at 6:30 a.m. in the morning sometimes.
That's what I love about recording a podcast episode. You can't procrastinate while you're just talking to people. Answer the question, you're done. Let's move on. It's all very present moment. Don't worry about it. All right. Last two questions here. And question number 9, let's go to Shanon. This is an easy one. Okay. Although it might produce some anxiety depending. But what did you do just before joining us on the podcast?
What was I doing? I think I was eating some chocolate. That's what I do to get rid of my anxiety.
Awesome. I love chocolate.
I'm also working. What do you guys think I was doing? It's 2 PM.
I love chocolate fueled work. That really sounds like some good work. Yeah. All right, you, Josh, what did you do before joining us on the podcast?
Well, I was in our all-team Game of Thrones planning meeting with Shanon, but apparently she was too busy eating chocolate to remember.
Chocolate on the brain. I love that.
That was earlier. Josh. I thought you meant like 5 minutes before we got on this thing.
Sure. Scarfing some chocolate.
Yeah.
That's definitely after my own heart. I have all excuses to have chocolate during the day. All right. All right,
I want
Josh,
some chocolate right now.
I know. I've literally I don't think I could eat any more chocolate. I think I had enough. I just had like a mocha latte from Starbucks. I'm like, good. I think I've got my limit. All right. Josh, back to you. Another easy question. On the flip side, what are you going to do after joining us on this podcast today?
I know this sounds like a plan, but I'm going into another Game of Thrones meeting with our lead. So
it happens. There's usually bookends for people. Yeah. All right, you, Shanon. Last question. What are you going to do next after joining us on the podcast?
Honestly, the same. We still got some work to do. Gonna go back to Game of Thrones.
More chocolate? No? You had to fill?
More Game of Thrones.
Well, Hey Ethan, straight in. It looks like we have a bonus question, and I know that because it's mine.
Yeah, you asked it. Go for it, bud.
All right, guys. What's your favorite Game of Thrones character and why?
You want to go? Should I go?
You go. Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually never seen the show, so.
Nice. That's a good answer.
No, Arya, hands down. She's my favorite.
Yeah, she's a badass.
Such a fun arc. Over the course of it, and almost named one of our kids Arya.
No, you did not.
It almost did.
Oh
well, at least one of us wanted to. I don't know how deep in the planning that was, but yeah, she's great character.
Awesome. Shanon, did you come up with something?
I mean, I was going to say Arya, but since Brienne of Tarth.
And why?
You know,
why
another
her?
badass. Well, I always identified with her because I'm also a very tall lady, not as tall as Brienne of Tarth, but so I was like, yeah, I know what that's like, girl. And she's just a badass, so you know.
Yeah, those are definitely two of my favorites. I agree with those picks. Good stuff.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Well, that concludes this segment. You guys did a great job. Despite any anxieties you might have had, or
I'm gonna regret saying that on this podcast. I already regret it.
Or chocolate that you ate beforehand, or whatever other things we found out about you.
I think a little bit of anxiety is part of being an entrepreneur, because we really care a lot. And that passion for what we do. I have a little bit.
Right.
So
that's good. Yeah.
You're my favorite Josh, by the way. Just gonna throw it out there.
Ouch.
It's great to
it doesn't, you still can't be a member of Josh Dow unless you change your name officially.
You also have to do the appropriate level of anxiety. Yes.
Yeah.
Be a member of Josh Dow. Or else you don't care. Hey there, NFT Space Cadet. Let's zoom in on the globe from outer space today to Abbot Kinney Boulevard in Venice Beach, LA. Let me show you a cosmic tech beacon that shines out among the bustle of fashion, art, and food there. It's a thriving software dev, data science, and design studio known as AE Studio, where scores of the sharpest minds have come together to help founders and execs create software and machine learning solutions that are not only profitable and increase our agency as humans, but that give us that warm, fuzzy feeling that elegant tech so wonderfully does. AE's breadth of talent allows them to build anything from instillvideo.com, it's a health, fitness, and wellness app that makes your chakras tingle, to award-winning brain-computer interface solutions that could quite literally bend our minds. Oh, and keep an eye out for Token Runners, their NFT white label marketplace, as well as our highly anticipated NFT drop, Boomer NFT. Now, for all you degens who strive to shed the cummerbund and pearls, comes a jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring partnership, not seen since the heyday of Shaq and Kobe. It's called Edge of AE Studio, and you can find out all about it at edgeofae.com. That's right, this full-service, soup-to-nuts, end-to-end, whole enchilada NFT service can help you, yes you Randy, launch your NFT project. Edge of NFT and AE Studio have come together like Voltron to get your project in gear so you can hightail it straight to the moon, stardom, and maybe even your own private yacht. Go to edgeofae.com to find out more. That's edgeofae.com. Actual results may vary depending on moon landing location, domain of stardom, scale and model of yacht, as well as whether scale model of yacht or actual yacht. All right. Well, yeah, we're moving on to our next segment. And officially, what we're going to roll into right now is a shout out. And we just want to give you guys a chance to kind of give some credit or love to someone in your community that you think is special and deserves a little love. So you got anybody in mind? Shanon, Josh?
Yeah, I think we definitely, Josh and I both wanted to give a shout out to Daz, our creative partner in Game of Thrones, who have been building all of the NFTs that you guys will see and be experiencing. And they're wonderful, lovely people and very talented, and have also been working so hard on this. So I wanted to give them a shout out.
Yeah, really cool people, and they just recently did a collab with Timex too, which was super special. I had an opportunity to meet the Timex team that flew in from Connecticut and Italy to be there in Miami, and they just put a lot of passion and technique into their work. It's very evident.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we notice a pattern here with our shout outs. It really is a nice place to open up exposure to some topic or individual that people might not be aware of. So, that's DAZ for the listener who might not be aware. Look it up and you'll find out some cool things that might have been on your radar.
Check out our show we did with them about their Qubit drop a little while back if you're curious about those guys.
Yeah, some crossover. All right. Well, we're about ready to wrap, but we just want to make sure you both get a chance to tell folks where they can learn more about you and the projects you're working on. Any links, websites to share that are particularly appropriate?
what is our Twitter?
Nice.
Build your realm.
Build your realm at Build Your
Yes.
Realm. So
Yeah.
wasn't prepared for that one. I was gonna say at NFTs, Warner has an NFT account as well. I would say Josh and I collectively have maybe like 500 followers, so don't follow us, but go follow the projects that we are working on together. So Build Your Realm and NFTs.
I realized that a while ago. It's so much easier to just build a following for your project than to be your own, social media person. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how Elon handles all that.
What an example to put in there.
Yeah, it's like the opposite, right? It's all about Elon. I know he's probably got a bigger account than his projects. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. We have reached the outer limit at the Edge of NFTs for today. So we'd like to thank everyone for exploring with us today. And we do have space for more adventures on this starship. So everyone make sure to invite your friends and recruit some cool strangers that will make this journey also much better. How can you do that? You can go to Spotify or iTunes right now. You can rate us and say something awesome. You can go to edgeofnft.com to dive further down the rabbit hole. You can look us up on all major social platforms by typing Edge of NFT with no spaces. Start a fun conversation with us online. And lastly, be sure to tune in next time for more great NFT content. Thanks for sharing this time with us today.
The views and opinions expressed on the Edge of NFT podcast reflect solely those views and opinions of the show creators and its guests. We're learning as we go, just like you. Please make sure to do your own research. Our podcast is not financial advice. There are multiple strategies and not all strategies fit all people. You understand that you are using any and all information available on or through this podcast at your own risk.